All right, it's 5:30. We'll call to order this special meeting of the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. And our purpose this evening is to begin to hear the CIP program. We will really keep the same process that we've had in the past. Each of the departments will make their presentation. If I don't see many public folks, but if you wish to speak, please come to one of the microphones and start off with your name and your address. I will only call on somebody a second time if everyone who's been here has had an opportunity to speak. With that, City Manager, you want to do an opening?
Just quickly, just a reminder about what the capital plan is, and I know you were all at the capital workshop, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but the capital plan is for projects that are at least $50,000 and have an estimated useful life of at least 5 years, or an ongoing investment in capital equipment. So they might be smaller dollar amounts, but overall the program meets the definition. And so tonight and Thursday night, we'll hear from the departments, and they will focus on the first 2 years of the capital plan. As you know, the first year of the capital plan will be considered as part of the city's operating budget process when we begin that process.
Okay, thank you. With that, Mr. Assessor. Go ahead.
Good evening, Dan Langell, City Assessor. So the project I have before you tonight is our revaluation. We do this every 5 years, so that's why you're seeing this. The one that is before you tonight is until 2031. The one that we're currently doing now that's in place is already been budgeted for and taken care of. So this really isn't for 2031. So again, revaluation, that's when we bring all the city's property up to market value. We do this on a 5-year basis, and that's used for tax purposes and setting the tax rate. You hear a lot more about our current one in future committee meetings, so I won't get into that, but if there's any questions about this, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Questions up here? Members of the public? Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to, I'm seeing the 156, right, in FY
Correct.
30, is that right? Can you just outline, like, is it third-party assistance with doing that evaluation? Can you just go over that piece?
Yep. So yeah, we do use a contractor. We do use a third party that comes in and helps us. Our department does, do a lot of the work as well, but we do bring in a third party. How we do it is we have a capital reserve fund. So we put so much money aside each year to kind of help level fund, and so it's not one year has a big impact. So that capital reserve fund. So the 156, that's an estimate based off of our prior year. We kind of add in some cost for, cost of living, that kind of stuff, to increase it at 156. The current one that we're doing, I think it's under budget for about 135,000. So we're expecting increase over the next 5 years. Welcome.
Anybody else? Members of the public? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Mueller, IT Director. Good evening. So it looks like the first one you guys have on your packet is the GIS kind of portion of IT. That's the 5 and 10 year aerial imagery mapping that we do. It's a flyover. We hire a plane to fly over Keene every 5 years. On the 10 years, they do sort of a much bigger mapping with a lot more detail, a lot more ground mapping. And then on the 5 years, they kind of do an update of that. with less detail, it's a little less money. What you're seeing in FY30 is the 5-year flyover. This data gets put into our GIS system, which then feeds into things like things that PubWorks uses, assessing, or WebGIS, even Access GIS, which you can get through, the public uses through our website. So that's the imagery. That's this first one. Questions on that guy? All right. So the next one is the database software upgrade. So even with the push to software going to the cloud and our databases, a lot of our databases going to our cloud, we still need a presence on premise for our databases. There's still about a dozen pieces of software that use our on-premise database. What you're seeing here is the upgrade to the operating system as well as the version of the database software that we use. That's in FY28 and again in FY33. It needs to be upgraded every 5 years or so.
Questions up here?
All
Public?
right. Trucking along, all right. So the next one is the network equipment replacement program. So that's the sort of the backbone of the organization from an IT standpoint. That includes switches and routers and firewalls. Basically anything that's connected to the network goes through these switches, computer to computer talking, computer to printers, access points, the phones, everything goes through these devices. They have a shelf life, and when we come to the end of those, they need to be replaced. There's a big jump next year because we're replacing what we call the brains, which is the core. It's a big project, and so that's why that's a fair amount compared to the other years. But these things go end of life, and because of security and support, we need to replace them periodically. That's what you're seeing there.
I'd like to go back one to the
Sure.
database software upgrade program. You said cloud-based. May I ask, does that mean that we're committing to one company over another? And if so, how are we feeling confident about our privacy and that data staying only with us? Is that even possible nowadays?
Sure, a lot of questions in there, and the good ones. We have a mixture. So some of our applications are going cloud-based, and typically they may have had database backends that we had on-premise, and now they're going to the cloud. We still have a whole on-premise database infrastructure. To your point about security, anything that goes to the cloud, we take very seriously on securing it. We work with the vendor to make sure there's things like multi-factor authentication, that things are being kept, out of certain countries, and we're making sure that their databases aren't stored in countries that we don't want them to be stored in, and that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
So is there a third-party certification that can assure the assurances that we're being given? Is there another way to actually believe that information? I mean, of course, the company's going to tell you.
Yeah, for sure. There is standardization that a lot of these companies, especially if they have government contracts, have to go through. I can't recall what they are right now. I could certainly get that to you. But there's definitely, and again, we're a municipality, and so we don't always have all the choices that a Fortune 500 company has. But, we try to weigh the pros and cons of this, and if it doesn't feel right and we can keep it on premise, we'll do that. So.
I appreciate your attention to this.
Yeah, you bet. Moving on? Okay. The next one is a server replacement program. So this kind of has three parts to it. The first is the servers themselves. We call them hosts. These are big, beefy servers that run multiple virtual servers on it. So if a virtual server is like a company, a business, the hosts are the building that all those businesses run on. They can run up to like 20, 25 of these virtual servers. So these hosts, we have 4 of them. Periodically, every 5 years or so, their warranties run out and we have to replace them. So that's a big piece of it. You'll see that on the next page there where it says virtual server hosts. Those are replacements for that. The other thing that's part of this project is the actual server OS licensing. Much like you have Windows 11 on your PCs, these servers have an operating system that needs to be upgraded periodically, and that's what's happening in FY27. We'll buy sort of an enterprise license, and start upgrading all our servers, which is no small project. And then the last piece on this server replacement program is the data center UPSs. Those are the big batteries that both our data centers are hooked up to. Should there be a power outage, these batteries will continue to run our equipment for the time it takes to hopefully have the generator come back, or if that's not an option, long enough for us to come racing into Keene and shut down all this stuff, because they don't like most of this equipment doesn't like when the plug's pulled. So we need these UPSs to make sure that they stay powered on until we can get there and power them off ourselves. Questions on that?
Questions?
All right. Yeah, a little different order. All right, so in the SAN, so our storage area network, that's, two more. Storage area network. So that's, the storage area network, or SAN, is basically an array of very large hard drives. And we use that to store things like files. Some of the virtual servers have storage space on these SANs. Backups are on the SAN. If you think of it as sort of the organization-wide hard drive, that's basically what it is. And then we have redundancy for those storage area networks. What's interesting is, as again, things are getting pushed to the cloud, and as we're actually pushing people to store things in the cloud through SharePoint and stuff like that, our SAN footprint isn't going down at the same rate. I think what's happening is, even though we're storing less number of files, the files that we are storing are getting exponentially bigger. So we still, the boxes are getting bigger, even though we're not as many boxes. So the SAN's going to be around for a while. We have to replace it in FY28, and then, it's about a 5-year lifespan on these guys. So that's what you're seeing there. And the last project is the phone system replacement. So over the last bunch of years, we've been upgrading our phone system. In FY29, we're looking to, it's sort of a watershed year. We're going to decide if we want to sort of keep going the way we're going, in the direction we're going, or go in a different direction. There's a whole bunch of choices when it comes to phone systems now, that you can have it hosted on the internet. You can run the phones through the internet itself, as opposed to PRI lines that we do right now. It's going to be, we're going to have to do some research. We're going to have to figure out what's right for the organization. Be great if I won a lottery ticket before then, but I doubt I will, so I'll probably be here for that. It's going to be a pretty big project, so that's going to happen in FY29. I think that's all I have, if anybody's got any questions.
So if you want to feel confident that this stuff is secure, ask to go down and see the room,
Yeah.
our room. And you don't even have to go in. You just look in the window and you'll just feel very confident that this thing is squared away and well organized.
I have no lack of confidence in our staff and what we're controlling. It's when it goes up. We don't
That's
have our own satellite, and
Well, give
anyway,
us time.
yeah.
No,
I
I
don't
agree
mean
with
to
you.
communicate any lack
Yeah.
of confidence in
No,
your
no.
guys'.
Yeah. I mean, these gray hairs, I'm 25 years old. The gray hairs are just from from those sleepless nights. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Facilities.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Andy Bohannon, Deputy City Manager. So before you tonight, provide just a summary of facilities projects program for FY 27 through 33, and explain how they support your adopted goals in the comprehensive master plan. These projects ensure we maintain safe, efficient, resilient buildings that serve residents and staff every day. Our facilities work is driven by two sources. First, the capital improvement program, which outlines the scope, the timing, and the funding for repairs, replacements, and major upgrades across our facilities. And second, our council goals and CMP pillars, including strengthening infrastructure, advancing sustainability, and supporting diverse community needs, and ensuring a reliable workforce and public service environment. Combined, these guide us towards long-term stewardship and responsible investment. So the first project before you tonight is 10 Central Square kitchen floor repair. And this project is, we've had conversations with our tenants for the last couple of years, trying to coordinate the fact that of when is the best time to get into that restaurant, because they were going to have to shut down their kitchen for us to do this for an extended period of time. And it just, that coordination didn't really happen all that well. And now it's vacant, and now's the time for us to go in and take care of the space. So behind where the sink dishwasher used to be, the floor is fairly rotted out, and we have to make sure that we have those taken care of, whether that be, we're in the process of auctioning off all the kitchen equipment that is in that space, so we can make it more of an appealing commercial space if we choose to rent it down the road. It will serve that particular space tentatively right now. We're trying to plan a little bit ahead. So we have the clerk's office that's going to need some upgrades here in the very near future as part of the building project, the infrastructure, the structural project of City Hall. They're going to have to be relocated, and 10 Central Square will be ready at that time to move them over, so they won't have to be up at the rec center or over at the library. They'll be right here within close proximity and still being able to deliver that customer service. So part of this project will enable us to kind of like get that space ready for them. And this really just kind of really supports the goal of strengthening the municipal infrastructure, because this is one of those places that was heavily used for a very long time. That's one of the new projects. On the next page,
Hold on, Annie, I've got a question on that. So
Yes.
I understand you to say that we're auctioning off the old kitchen equipment
yes.
and making it kind of a vanilla space for all kinds of use. But are you stubbing out the utilities so that if a new restaurant wants to come in, they won't have to completely redo things again? So will those
Yeah, it's, sorry.
services, the water, the gas, the whatever another restaurant would need, still be available, just capped off?
We would definitely cap them off. It's very unlikely that we would put another restaurant in there, and I'll, for the purpose of, when the first restaurant opened in that space, code allowed for them to prep their food downstairs in the basement. And so that's not the case anymore. And so there's no space in that kitchen to prep your food. So it's a really tight space.
Okay.
It could be done, depending on the type of restaurant or service that went in there, but ideally, you know, if we can not do a kitchen in that space, it's better for us. The service of the building, you know, you see, when you introduce kitchen, you have a lot of water, heat, and all sorts of different things that you definitely don't want as a landlord. So we'll see, but it's going to be plain Jane vanilla for a while.
Well, we get to choose, so
Yeah.
I appreciate the explanation. Thank
Yep,
you.
of course. The next is a project that you've seen before related to the cybersecurity upgrades. This is kind of working in tandem with the IT department. We're updating outdated wiring, replacing cameras, adding automated building locking systems, and consolidating our network video recorder networks across City Hall, the rec center, police, DPW, and the library. And FY33 includes the licensing, so you see the first 4 years, and then out in FY33 is just licensing and software updates for all the systems. So this has really been a project that our retired facilities manager, Scott Martin, really took a hold of and upgraded quite a bit of our systems and got all of our cameras, removed all the ones that were made in China, and really has done a really great job getting us to where we are today. So this is just a continuation of that program.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a brief question. Jacob Favalis, Main Street and Ward 1 Councilor. The narrative portion in the packet that members of the audience and I think members of the committee have talks about some of the security upgrades that cameras have had, mentioning facial recognition, the ability to kind of detect weapons or things that look like weapons, and the ability to, I think, detect a fever is one of them. Is it the intent of city staff to pursue camera upgrades that would include those features, or is that more of a contextualizing narrative for the need to continue to upgrade security systems in general?
We put that statement in there just to recognize that security systems have advanced quite a bit from when we initially started. So we don't intend to have facial recognition or there's a lot of, you could go to the extreme. And that's not something that we were looking to do. But if the technology or the council wanted us to go in that direction, then we could certainly update that. But that was really more for an understanding of the breadth of what technology can do for us today.
Thank you.
Yep. Next program is the emergency generator replacements. So these are out quite a few years in FY 31, 2, and 3. We'll certainly be seeking federal grants through that for this program, but these will be in key life safety facilities, police, DPW, and Central Fire. All of their generators are coming to their end of their useful life, and this plan includes the standardization of units, including new transfer switches and including service contracts with preventative maintenance for 24-hour support. So when we're able to, because many of the units are different, each one, so as we've done City Hall, we did the rec center a couple of years, last year, we're getting the same units. So we can work with the same contractor related to streamlining, making maintenance a little bit more efficient. So next we have the Finance Department reconfiguration and security updates. We've got $65,000 planned for FY 27. Just, I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but I do know that Thursday night, we will be having an agenda item through you, through our finance director, related to a donation of a lot of this equipment. However, that takes care of the equipment or the cubicles on the third floor and doesn't necessarily cover the cost of the installation, but we also wanted to do some upgrades in the revenue office. One of the things in the revenue office is you have one point of entry, and what we would like to do is create a secondary access for employees to leave if they needed to in an emergency. So that is something that is high on our radar, and making the sound in that space really, it's very loud if you've ever gone in there, and you can, while you're talking, you can hear the next person talk to you, and it's just, we want to try to quiet the environment a little bit, and these funds should help that. So our next project is new. This is something that we have put in, Scott and I had discussed quite a bit. And this really kind of focuses out on that, the old EMG report that we had put in place several years ago, back in 2012. So it's really outdated, but one of the reasons why we want to introduce this is getting a new report that can kind of shape the direction that we're going to go in the next 15 to 20 years. But also, this aligns with the Energy and Climate Committee in really trying to make sure that anything that we do is focused on our energy resilience and taking care of conducting level 2 energy audits across the buildings, so we can hit some of that low-hanging fruit. Some of you may remember when we did the Honeywell project, which was many years ago now. They came in, they did an audit, and we got a lot of low-hanging fruit, and then we were able to establish some of the other things later on. This would kind of basically do the same thing for us, and really continue to make those upgrades that we need to in various spaces. So that is our big, and one of the things that is most important is in FY '27, an upgrade to the electrical system here at City Hall. It aligns with the downtown construction project. So when everything is torn up and the lines are open, we have access to making sure that we have, because right now, 10 and 11 is connected to 3 Washington. So 10 and 11 Central Square are connected to, so we have to divide that off, and being able to make one line for each of those spaces really would help us quite a bit in tracking electricity, and for if we have tenants in there, we know exactly what those bills are, so. Next is HVAC equipment at the record storage room. So this is kind of unique to Keene. We have a record storage area that most municipalities do not. We're very fortunate to have this space, and this is something that has been long overdue, and we want to get it off the ground into which by elevating it, we enable more parking for the police department. It gives us more record storage capacity as far as quality of air and dehumidification. So we really want to get these units up on the roof, and it also improvements and will include new heat pumps, humidity controls, and integrating the controls into the citywide management system, because right now they are separate, and being able to fold that in when it would enable us to really control everything from City Hall and be able to adequately tell what needs humidification levels. So this has been a project that is long overdue.
I'd like to point out that it was very impressive. We just had a tour of this facility, that we are actually, as a city, able to have other not-for-profit clients, per se, also store their things in this safe area. So it seems that we're making very efficient use of that space and providing assistance to our surrounding communities for their safe storage as well of their records. I appreciate your attention to efficiency and the energy involved. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just a quick addition, when we get to this project and leading up to it, we will be evaluating the fees that we're charging for use of that space to be sure that we are recouping an appropriate amount of these expenditures.
Next project before you is library lighting, and I highlighted this project the other night when we were at Heberton Hall, and just to note that the Friends of the Public Library and the trustees of the Public Library have both donated up to $50,000, or a quarter of what the project cost is. So that is great. We are currently in the design phase. As I mentioned, the lighting in certain stack areas is very dim, especially all the lights was up lights, so it's supposed to reflect off the ceiling. That's what's in there now. So if you're reflected off the ceiling, it just doesn't make it all the way down to the low end of the stacks, and becomes really difficult and dim. And at first I was like, yeah, maybe this is a project that, we could probably get away with without, and so I'd walk around and I'd ask a couple of folks looking in the stacks and say, how's the lighting today? And they're like, well, it's pretty dim and I can't see down on the lower levels. And then when we did all of our testing, basically the light was about 15% of what it should be at the lowest level. So really important for us to get these stacks lit and provide that customer service experience for everybody to come in and have find the book that they are looking for, and the meeting rooms that were also being upgraded. So that's a reflection of this. We will also be seeking rebates through Eversource for this, which should bring this cost down quite a bit. So just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question on the lighting. Is it all LED that's going in now, or are we using another source?
Yeah, it will be LED, yes. So what happened was we tried to retrofit the existing lights for LED, and it wasn't working.
So may I ask, so the rebates through Eversource are for efficiency then? Are they not?
Yes, yes.
Great, okay. I love to hear that word, efficiency, being rewarded for efficiency. Thank you.
Well, it'll depend on what program we're able to take advantage of, because it may pay 80% of the cost. It just depends on what year and what's available, but it's a great, even without a 80%, it's a great investment, because the monthly bill will be different.
All right, so the next project is just a program that you have seen many times. This kind of kicked off our facilities initiative with the municipal building capital maintenance program, and really highlighting over the course of many years, we've been able to accomplish so many things with this, and really it kind of helps move us forward. And this will be an upgrade to our Niagara building automation system, which is, I mentioned to you the other day, that the upgrade from the N4 to the N5, this is Windows related, from Windows 10 to Windows 11, which provides more security. And this is something that will also add central fire, and they're currently on Johnson Controls, and we want to get them over into this, which is Johnson Controls, a little bit more priority. Yeah, the proprietary. So we want to make sure that that comes over to a more universal system for us to be able to, when the chief calls or whoever calls from the fire department, we can look at the system and react right away and know what's happening, so.
Mr. Chair, I'm just noticing in 27, we have the line that says held in reserve for new priorities. Is that if something comes up during the year and we need to kind of pivot and fix something else? Or is that so that maybe we pull something forward that's listed in 28, 29?
A little of both.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so if we're able to successfully do those projects within budget, then we can certainly move that up. Or if we run into something else, we're able to slide and shift. What we've been able to do is just really have a lot of flexibility and shift some things. And at certain times, we've had a situation where we're like, okay, well, we have $28,000 remaining in this year, and what's on the future list, or what may have come up over the course of the year, and we're able to shift and move that forward, which is really, we've done that with some library projects, we've done that with the rec center, so it works out really well. Next, we have our roofs, and as you all know, our roofs, you gotta keep your roof system good, and that's one of the things that this past week, when all the melting occurred, we had a giant piece of ice come off the roof of the library and puncture about maybe a foot long, 4 inches deep, the membrane up there. So maintaining solid roofs, because those leaks, and especially over a stack of books, could do a lot of damage, but any damage in any building. So really trying to take care of those. I highlighted the rec center is going to be in FY27. Those roofs have not been updated since the early 90s. And we have the airport terminal. This is one of those, we have applied for airport funds, which addresses the roof. So this may be one of those situations where we may have to shift, but ideally, we get the rec center done in FY27 and the airport in FY28, so. Next, parking lots. We'll attack the airport terminal parking lot in FY27, rec center in 28, and police department in 29, and public library in 30, and then begin to go into a more rehabilitative program after that.
You mentioned, so the airport, the roof of the airport, and now the surface of the building parking lot. I've heard mentioned that many of the aspects of the airport are subsidized significantly federally. Will either of these particular work items be able to benefit from subsidy?
I'm rubbing off on you.
I know, right? Will we get any subsidies from the federal government because these are part of the facilities of the airport?
For the parking lot, no.
Yeah.
For the roof, we will receive whatever the FAA determines to be eligible, which I believe is 60% of the roof, because basically you have, the restaurant is not part of FAA guidelines, so.
Terrific, so you're
yeah.
looking at all that.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Ryan's doing a great job of keeping us right on track with what would be eligible. So,
Excellent, thank
yeah.
you.
And lastly, we have the West Keene Fire Station. The only notable change in here is in FY '28, putting the schematic design forward and then leaving the opportunity to find grants for the construction out just a few years. But moving the schematic design forward really enables us to come forward with, be grant ready. Because right now, with the new property on Maple Avenue, working with Cheshire Medical, we don't have a design. We need a design, and if we just did a conceptual design, then we wouldn't be grant ready. So we want to be able to be shovel ready as soon as possible. This also enables us to be in full operation during construction. So with the opportunity to be on Maple Avenue, we can build and still be in operations on Hastings Avenue, and then transfer over, and then, the city would do something different with that property. But if we were to stay on Hastings Avenue and build a new station, we'd have to basically build two, right? You'd have to build something that they could go into to operate from, and then you'd have to do something, obviously, while the construction happening. So this is really going to be cost effective to move the location, and better location response time. That's it. Thank you much.
Jay Kahn, Darling Road, Mayor. Wanted to ask about the mini split system for this room. If it's going to be fed from the rooftop, or just be, I'm trying to picture it.
We did several upgrades a couple years ago, if you can remember. We'll connect it into that system, but it will be separate. It will definitely connect to the rooftop unit. Yeah.
So it'll be up on the rooftop, not visible on off the building?
Not off the front of the building, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. The other question, I noticed parking lot improvements, that's the next item, and not part of Andy's presentation, is that correct?
No, parking lots were part of mine, yep.
Yeah, so the City Hall lot, is that already budgeted in a current year?
So,
City
just to
Hall?
get the right reference, the deck or down below?
Well, they're kind of integral to each other.
Yeah, so the city deck, both decks are operated through the parking fund and coordinated with Public Works.
Wouldn't be here,
Correct.
but it should appear someplace in.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Might not need to answer.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, oh no. Hi, Laura Ruddle Miller, 222 West Street, also city councilor. This is more of a formatting question because I've come across a couple of pages that have an additional line on them that not all the pages do, which is bond issuance cost. Is that just a formatting discrepancy between the pages, or is that something that comes up in relation to some of these?
It is just a formatting.
Okay.
We'll make sure to
I
go
wasn't
back
sure
and
if
get
it
this.
meant something for those things versus, I know it says 0, but I just wanted to check.
We used to have, there used to be a bond issuance cost, but now through the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank, they do not charge us a cost or a fee for bonding with them. So that's no longer something that we need to take into consideration, at least not now.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Okay, Chief.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, Steve Stewart, the police chief. Thankfully for me, my portfolio isn't as expansive as Andy's, so this should be quicker. So the first project that we have coming up this year in July would be our Exacom hindsight recording system, which records all our telephone calls into the main lines of the station and all our radio calls. So that's important, not only from a sort of evidentiary value, but also an accountability, and operationally, the dispatchers will rely on it in real time, in many cases, to just confirm what they thought they heard over the phone or over the radio. So it's a crucial piece of equipment for us, and we've looked at how many licenses we actually need, and sort of pared that down to make sure that we're within our projected budget on that. So absent any questions about that, I can talk about a couple of the other things that are coming up a little further down the road, which would be 2029 body cameras again, and then which we've applied for some federal funds on that, but decisions are a long ways away on that. And also our portable radio program will be due to be started refreshing again, likely in 2029. So. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Jason Martin, the Fire Chief. I have 5 projects to highlight for you tonight that are requested to take place in FY '27 and '28. I'll start with durable medical equipment. For FY '27, specifically, this request is to replace our current Zoll mechanical ventilators. These ventilators we've had or they'll reach their end of life of 7 years, but they have now become the standard of care for our paramedics in dealing with respiratory compromised patients. So this is just a way to replace those in a timely manner to keep the burden off our operating budget. If there's any questions on that, I'll move on to the next one. Okay, and then so moving on next to portable radios. This is being requested as a 3-year project to replace all of our department's portable radios. When we purchased the ones that we currently operate with now, we staggered them to lessen the burden every year. And unfortunately, what this has done is we've ended up with a couple different additions to the radios, and that means currently about 1/3 of them right now are, I don't want to say obsolete because they're still in working order, but we cannot get parts, so we can't repair or service them. So it's time to start replacing them and again staggering them to lessen the burden. And as we all know, portable radios are essential for crew integrity and personal safety. Every person in the fire department is issued their own radio. So this is also is included more radios than we currently operate with. Again, not to go overboard, but if we ever need to expand and issue more portables because of staffing, this is taking that into consideration too. Any questions with portables? Okay. And then I'll move on to technical rescue equipment. This request is to replace aging technical rescue equipment. KFD is the only technical rescue team in this corner of the state. There's no one else to assist us in a timely manner that has the same equipment, so we need to be a standalone team on our own for the first hour. And in FY28, this amount of money is requested to replace aging equipment that it is still serviceable, but every piece of life safety equipment does have a recommended service life. So ropes, beaners, struts, and those types of things. So that's what this request is for FY28. Is there any questions with that one? Then I'll move on to the alerting system for FY28.
You mentioned that we're the only team in a particular area. Is that the Monadnock region?
That's going approximately an hour in all directions, like Concord.
So does that mean that we provide this type of service to all of those areas up to an hour away?
Yeah, at least the Monadnock region, and sometimes we're called a little farther outside of the Monadnock region to an hour
And I'm going to
away.
sound selfish here, but do we have a way to recoup some of those costs when it's not for us and we're being gracious and wonderful?
So two parts to that, because the answer part is for part of it is yes, and part of it is no. For hazardous materials response, there is a vehicle to recoup money. But as far as like technical rescue with ropes or confined space or trench, that would fall under mutual aid, so there is no way to recoup funds.
But it falls under mutual aid, so there's some type of program with parameters that comprise mutual aid?
You are correct, because technically the definition of mutual aid is it's reciprocal, but no, we would be requested as a resource, and I guess we're being a good neighbor or a good partner in the system.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Moving on to the alerting system. Okay. So this request would replace the current outdated alerting system in Central Fire Station. Recently, we have experienced some intermittent failures with the current alerting system. It's failed to work on numerous occasions, and this system was, components of this system were brought over from the original, or the old fire station. So the trouble with that is this isn't like an all-in-one system, so there's no parts for it. It's kind of like it was kind of hodgepodge and invented to work, and it's worked fine up until now, but now it's starting to fail. And that, as we know, with between 15 and 20 calls a day, that's a big deal. So there are numerous upgrades in technology that are nice. Just since we're doing this project, they make the alerting systems a lot more or a lot less abrupt for the workers and things like that. But the real reason that this request is here is because we're having problems with the current system. Okay, then we'll move on to the ambulance replacement for FY28. Currently, all our ambulances are on a 9-year replacement schedule. They get well used in that time. They average all around over roughly 10,000 calls or 10,000 calls for assistance in those 9 years. So, and as we know, that's a bulk of our business, meaning like 70% of our business is EMS. So the ambulances are a big part of our business and serve well for the community. So any questions with ambulance replacement?
You had talked in the past about when you're ordering an ambulance, it could take sometimes a year, year and a half to be able just to get the ambulance. And
Correct.
so when you're ordering that ambulance, that's just really an estimate price or a fixed price?
When we order it, we have to wait, so for instance, this project is FY '28. We would have to wait till that budget year so we could commit to a contract, and then that locks us in for the build price, or the build time, which has been about a year and a half for ambulances and 3 years for bigger trucks. But luckily, the one that we ordered, that we have one in production right now, that it's going to be here, they're saying the end of April, beginning of May, which is about a year early. So we lucked out on that one. But yes, we have to wait until that budget, and then we will sign a contract to lock that price.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, as long as we've raised that, I think at some point in the near future, we need to examine how we do that. I understand why we're doing it, because that's the way the code tells us to do it. But if we continue to be hammered by the organizations that build them, and we're gonna wait 2 or 3 years, and the number of calls go up, we've got to examine how we fund it in a different fashion. We don't need to solve it tonight, but we certainly need to address it in the near future. Thank you.
And those are the projects that I have requested for the
All right.
next 2 fiscal years.
Questions from the chief on all his projects? Anybody want to give him some more money? Writing them up, didn't I? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, we've talked in the past about the pilot program, right? Pilot where entities within the city who do not normally pay taxes come up with a way of reimbursing us in some form or fashion. I don't know how, I'm going to harken back to these the technical rescues, sorry. And I don't know how often they happen. And maybe they don't happen very often at all. But if they do happen on a regular basis, I would appreciate us looking into having a mechanism by which all of our surrounding communities kick in something towards what we are training our people to do, towards all of this equipment, so that they have some skin in the game, per se, that they are helping to bear this cost for these substantial services that are really important. So I don't know how to balance out how much time that would take versus how much potential benefit, but if that could be explored, I would appreciate it.
Agreed. And we have, just for a quick note, because I don't want to take up everybody else's time, but we have been doing standbys for confined space that we have started to charge for, but that's not really a emergency response. It is a standby, because we feel that's putting our department a little behind if we can't use our regular staffing. So that there. And then and another point too is agreed, everybody needs skin in the game. I'm all for looking into that, but also say with grants, we do, for training, we do offer, we're currently running a training session at the fire station, and we've opened it up to outside departments. That helps us when we apply for grants, and we get a lot of, because we say we're helping train the county and the community. And how much that helps, I'm not 100% sure, because I don't know how everything is graded, but that does help when we say that we also open that up to other county members. So, and we do get we're usually very successful with grants. We're very lucky, so. But definitely work to be done there.
It's kind of, you were hitting on it. Here it is in Cheshire County. We're just a small community made up of a lot of small towns. And in certain ways, if we don't band together, we don't really get anything from the federal government or anything, because you're making this. And so some way, we may be paying 60%, but without it, we have to pay the 100%. So that's one. Do we want to be equalized in payment? And that could mean we have no services at all. And there comes a moral, ethical, and financial issue. How do you balance all that out?
Yep, agreed. Okay.
Two things. The mutual aid system in the state of New Hampshire is another one of those systems that is somewhat broken because it is not always mutual. We do rely on our partners in the region, and you've seen that many times when we have large structure fires. We wouldn't be able to handle entirely alone, and so we do need to have those relationships. But the relationship isn't equal in lots of cases, and so I would love to see a change in the fire service in terms of how we look at mutual aid and when it's appropriate to get some sort of recoupment for recouping some of our expenses. And so this is one example, but I think there are lots of others as well. And then before the chief leaves, he has several other projects in your packet that are further out, and I just want to make sure, while we have him here, if you have any questions related to those.
All right. Thank you. What? Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
who's got his checkbook with him?
Yeah, Jay Kahn. And just trying to get the big picture for myself as we are adding up through the departments. And first impression is we have a lot of property, we have a lot of services, and to maintain that over a long period of time, we're seeing that today in 6-year swaths, and how the continual investment is saving us money down the road because we're not having massive emergency kinds of funding needs. And so that's to the plus side of this. And it looks like when we go every 2 years, as this process ultimately will lead us to, we're between $5 million, $6 million every couple of years. And so that's a big number. And so my question here, and as I'm trying to stay at not at the project level, but at the broader funding level, we know that we've got a downtown project and that it is going to require some funding out of this capital 2-year investment. And right now, it's focused at a particular department level, whereas it really is drawing from a bottom line, the whole picture. And so it's causing me to just want to see, and I'm not asking the committee to wrestle with this tonight or the city manager necessarily, but I know that you are wrestling with this, city manager, because we may have focused it on one department and not having looked at each of the departments and how they all contribute to what the draw is in this next 2 years. And I'm just putting that out there. I hope I made that clear enough, because I'm concerned that as we're going through this, we're going on a project-by-project basis and not really pulling which one of these is of a lesser priority, so that some of those things that aren't being seen tonight and are part of the whole don't fall off because we've already kind of put our heads around all of these tonight as being the high priority. Somewhere along the way, there's going to be some juggling here, is my sense. And I don't think we can see that tonight. I just want the committee and put that out there, that I think that's going to be part of this process somewhere in a later discussion.
Yeah, the mayor's absolutely correct. We are looking to create an overall capital plan that identifies not only the projects in the first couple of years, but the net impact to the bottom line. And to do that, we identify how they are funded, whether they are funded through a capital reserve withdrawal or in addition to capital reserve for a future project, or whether they're funded with what we call current revenue. And current revenue is basically a direct cash on the bottom line, or fund balance. And I stated just briefly during the council workshop that we did move more of the downtown project to fund balance to offset and mitigate some of the impact on that bottom line. And so when we hear Thursday from Public Works and he talks about the downtown project, you'll hear more about how we're planning to fund that. And then we also will have an overall presentation as to what the bottom line looks like. And part of this is because we've still been pulling a lot of this together. Typically, we would have that in the very first meeting. And so there was a presentation, a handout at the workshop that did present that information to you, but we still need to discuss that with you so that you feel good about the recommendation that moves forward to the council.
So, if I recall properly, if a project doesn't, it's on the list, it's examined this year or next year, and it doesn't make the cut for funding, we don't lose track of it. It continues on until it either is funded or
Yeah.
becomes replaced by something else. So
Yep.
we're programming out here for a long time, and our major issue is coming up with enough money to do all those particular projects.
Yeah, and one of the things to also keep in mind is that this is a planning document. It's a financial planning document. It doesn't obligate the city until you actually do your budget. That's when you're obligating the city. So you really need to have your final numbers then. But right now, we've talked a couple of times about grants we're applying for. If we're successful at some of those grants, it opens up funding to some other projects and then sort of reshuffles the deck as to when the projects get done. Say a project that might be out a year or two, if we get a grant fund, it may move it forward and another project may have to then move out. And so this CIP document will continue to evolve throughout the year, every year, as we get more and more information. But it is just a planning document until you actually do your budget.
Can I ask, just for because I'm so new at this, I cannot imagine that all grants are decided by X date, and then we're able to plan. So, do I understand correctly that as those grants, if they come in, we're going to do our best to make the decisions with the information that we have, crossing our fingers that some of it comes from grants. If those grants do or do not, does that mean that we're making these change orders or having to come to council to shift projects around every time that happens? Or do we have a mechanism by which we've got some flexibility to keep things going a little bit more smoothly?
Yeah, it certainly depends on the time of year. So if we get the information before your budget is finalized, we'll have shifted them all around for you. If it happens after the budget has been finalized, we'll come in with a recommendation as to how we'll finance it or how something else might be financed or how we might shuffle the deck at that time.
Okay.
Other questions? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Parks and Recreation.
Fun stuff.
Agreed. Good evening, thank you. My name is Kara Fisk-Hennessy. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director. And just to reiterate, a lot of the things that we went over in our workshop session, all of our projects hit upon 4 of the pillars of the comprehensive master plan, with 2 of them really hitting almost every single project that we have, the flourishing environment and the vibrant neighborhoods. We also hit upon 6 of the 8 council goals in all of our projects. Basically, if I could narrow it down to 4 specific areas of improvement throughout all of our projects and programs in this year's CIP, we're looking at safety upgrades, accessibility upgrades, sustainability initiatives, and efficiency, and making sure that we can do the most that we can do with the funding that we have. Throughout this presentation, the city engineer will be joining me for a couple of the bigger projects. The Ashwillet River Dam project is one of them, and the Transportation Heritage Trail is another one of them. So first in your packet is the Ashwillet Green Space Project. And we've talked about this. After several years as an appendix item, this initiative has advanced to action to complete a unified park space and realize a long-anticipated community vision of marrying the green grass parking lot that the Monadnock Conservancy now occupies, 1/3 of the space. 2/3 of that space has been donated to the city of Keene to marry with the current Ashwillet River Park. So what we plan to do there is start the design process for a natural playground, a canoe and kayak launch, accessible bathrooms, and parking enhancement. And this is a desirable project for the Land Water Conservation Fund, which would allow us to realize up to $500,000. And we have already secured a $35,000 anonymous donation for the concept design.
So as a landscape architect, this is floodplain land, and my understanding is the Monadnock Conservancy has artificially raised their buildings so that they're not in the floodplain. So I'll be very excited to see how this design comes about, because if it's floodplain and we have the ability to be resilient with those events as they happen over time, we have other places in the city that are also floodplain. And I'm really hoping that as technology continues, we figure out ways to be able to not only have these natural processes such as floods and infiltration happen, but also figure out ways to utilize the space in a manner that doesn't have to be redone once that event happens. So I'm very excited to watch this design process come about.
We are too.
For the record, Brian Ruff, city engineer. This is a Parks-funded project, the Ashwillet River Dam Repair Removal Project, but it's been, I guess, managed by the engineering division, so I thought it made the most sense for us to speak to this as part of this project. This project was in the previous CIP. The change that we're recommending as part of this CIP update is essentially, we don't have a clear direction on repair or removal. And we went out for RFQ for engineering services for the project in January of this year. The prices varied so much, it really told us that we couldn't advertise this as an and/or. The costs associated with doing one or the other, the permitting, everything associated with that, just too many variables. So what we're looking to do is push the funding out for construction till fiscal year '29. We think that's when the project will be construction ready in lieu of fiscal year '27, which was previously planned. And the only thing we're leaving in fiscal year '27 is essentially the engineering services, which will hire a consultant in July this coming fiscal year after the engineering division performs public outreach on the two options of the dam, the repair or the removal. With that, we're also coordinating with DES, and they'll be providing an updated letter of deficiency based on their current regulations. So that will also give us some insight on what the anticipated cost and permitting that will be required for this work. So in lieu of those things, we felt it made the most sense to move the funding for construction outside of this next 2 years of the CIP into fiscal year '29.
Questions? Mr. Engineer?
I was telling the chair earlier, I bought heating oil 4 weeks ago at $3.54 a gallon. Then I got filled up today at $4.44 a gallon. That's 90 cents a gallon. But that puts a lot of your projects that we plan on and in the capital improvement plan, some of these could be way out of reach when you look at asphalt and all these other things. So when we're looking today, the capital improvement was based on 2 weeks ago, not current position.
Correct.
Okay.
And so with all our estimates for construction, we build in a contingency cost, which is based on the DOT average prices that we see, and it's based on the trends for inflation and everything that we're seeing within the bidding climate within the city and statewide, really.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if I understood correctly, we'd be looking to hire that consultant this July, right? And then I would assume that we would be doing the public engagement after. Are we looking at like late summer or fall time for that public engagement?
So we're actually, the engineering division is going to self-perform the public engagement to be able to get the best value on that, the best cost savings for the engineering services. We viewed it didn't really make sense to hire an engineer to perform that for us when we could do it in-house. We've already started those discussions. We're looking to meet with Conscom at the next available meeting and get that input as well. And essentially, we'll compile all that public input that we've received, go to City Council, make a recommendation to move forward with the design of the project.
Other questions on that one? Thank you. Can't see left, right.
Yeah, you know, what concerns me is that we've had so many public sessions over this dam, and it's been going on for years and years and years. And one of the big points for the public, in my recollection of the meetings that occurred, was they were very much against removing it because it showed that it would just come down to a trickle and be a little tiny stream. It would change the entire character of it. And I'm just wondering, like, how many times we revisit this before we actually make decisions and move forward.
Well, I think that's an excellent point, and I also think that's a good reason to take it out of a scope of a consultant to do that and just have the city engineering division self-perform that, get a final determination, and then move forward. We don't have a decision one way or another. We don't have anything formalized or a recommendation that's gone to council either way. And part of what plays in, I think, to the decision-making process is going to be DES's new letter of deficiency. That will be based on the current regulations and what the city will need to do as part of this project. And that will weigh into the potential costs of the project as well. So I understand there has been a lot of public discussion and feedback. I think it's worth it to have this level of public engagement one more time before we hire a consultant.
So the state's going to pretty much tell us what we're going to do, right?
Well, they'll tell us what our options are, but the options still will be remove or repair the existing dam, essentially. So we'll still be left with that decision.
Thank you. Anything else on that one?
Okay. Next in your packet, you have a cemetery expansion program, which is new, and this is other fund funded. So it is actually funded by the trustees, and I wanted to make sure that you knew that ahead of time. What we realize right now is that the burial space availability at Monadnock View Cemetery is very near capacity as families are increasing their planning abilities, planning ahead for what happens at the end of life, and they are purchasing multiple plots. Our current inventory looks like one cremation space available in the Monadnock View Cemetery and 35 full burial plots currently existing. That's what we have left right now. The trustees have already approved small-scale expansion efforts within the current footprint, so we do have some additional spaces that have been mapped by engineering that would allow for flat markers for cremation spaces, and those are only to address the immediate need. We worked with Griever and Ward, and they completed a cemetery master plan in January of 2026. We came before MSFI. We actually went before the trustees as well, and it provides, the master plan that they developed for us provides 65 to 100 years of capacity and expanded burial options, and also balances the cemetery function with the park-like beauty that's valued by our community. What is really wonderful about the city of Keene is that our cemetery spaces are also recreational spaces. The number of people walking just in these past 2 days is just a very visual reminder of how often people access these spaces for peaceful wildlife, just walking and enjoying what we have. The infrastructure work and initial tree plantings, we hope are planned for this year pending the alteration of terrain permitting, and we really look forward to opening the first new burial section because it is a priority with only one cremation space left in the current footprint. Any questions?
Questions? Well, come right up.
Hi, Laura Ruddle-Miller again. I just have a question because I see the note about irrigation for the Monadnock View Cemetery, and as somebody who does youth trails and cemeteries for parts of my run, I know the Green Lawn Cemetery has a very low section that tends to flood every time there, and I know you're also keen and we're in a bowl and things flood. I'm just curious if there has ever been any review or analysis of anything that could be done in that low section of Green Lawn that would help with that low point flooding there.
I am not sure. I would have to get back with an answer to that question.
Nope.
Are there more questions?
The answer, great.
Okay, maybe an answer.
Trying to remember the year, but it was not that long ago. I think it was 2018 that we did a remediation project within the wetland area of, it was more on the woodland side. So Beaverbrook was kind of an expansion. We kind of cleared it out, and that has helped actually tremendously. That's like one of the lowest parts of our city right there. So I don't know what could be done, but I know that there was a detailed project that was done through the planning department. There was moose funds that we received, and I think it was around 2018, but it was fairly significant. And we were able to restore quite a bit of wetlands in that time frame. So that may be another alternative for us to look at, is just restoring and cleaning up those wetlands that are in that particular area.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for remembering trees. I know we are very lucky in the woodland area. If you're not familiar, the Rotary did a project 2 springs ago for their 100-year celebration, and there are 20 baby white and red oaks in sleeves to protect them from the deer as they continue to grow. I'm hoping that as we go forward, that more of our trees that we use in the cemeteries in particular, because they are much smaller places, that we can begin to use more of that sapling approach as we put trees in, protected from the deer for those periods of years, instead of the $800 per 3.5-inch caliper mature tree. Statistics show that starting from a sapling protected, the survival rate and the ability for that tree to actually flourish in a timely manner is dramatically improved. The public's perception may be different because it's not this huge tree, but in terms of our investment in the future for shade, for lowering the temperature in parts of our city, for our citizens, I'd like to see us consider more of that smaller approach, utilizing the saplings instead of those huge shade trees that are in shock for years, have a higher propensity for dying and not thriving.
Thank you. That's a very good point. One thing that we want to be really aware of is that we're not going to plant trees that are all the same age, because that's what we've run into with red pine. So we want to make sure that we have a diversity of trees that are native species that we can plant that are of different ages, so that we can make sure there is some kind of sustainability plan already in place. Yes. All right. The next one is the Municipal Parks Maintenance Program, and I talked about this one at our workshop too. The first part of this is FY27 for $163,000 and change is the Durling and O'Neill Field Irrigation, and I can't stress this enough. I was almost going to bring a prop, but I was advised not to. But you would be able to see the manual sprinkler head, which is really large and uncomfortable, and they have to manually insert the sprinkler head, screw it into the ground, let the water run. Then when the water shuts off, they take it out of the ground and they move it to the next spot, and they screw it into the ground and they let the water run. So what we're looking to do is to update this to an electronic system that can be monitored and accessed remotely, like our other park spaces. So it's going to greatly improve the efficiency and the amount of water that we use when we water those fields. In FY28, we are going to be working on Wheelock Playground accessibility upgrades, including surfacing. And that's one thing that's really important to us as we're replacing aging structures and outdated surfacing. We're improving the safety, accessibility, and compliance with New Hampshire state law, which is something that went into effect just a couple Januaries ago. One thing that I want to really be clear about, too, is that accessible surfacing is often the difference between a playground being technically present and actually usable. So when we have people of all abilities accessing our playground spaces, sometimes they can get there, but unless that surface actually allows them to go to the playground space and actually partake in the playground activities, it's really prohibitive to people being able to go out with their caregivers and have a fun time in the play spaces that we do have. Inclusive upgrades position the city to meet both the legal standards and community expectations, and it's a really important program moving forward. FY29 would also do the same thing for Fuller Park, which is right in front of the Recreation Center, and that would also be a playground structure upgrade and accessibility improvements there as well.
Questions?
All right, moving on. We have the Open Space and Trails Program, which is next. And in FY27, the $58,000 is going to be used to enhance the Jonathan Daniels Trail. We talked about erosion control measures and trail improvements to stabilize and enhance the corridor. And Appel Way is also going to be paved, which supports long-term durability and consistent public use. In FY28, we are going to be looking at Robin Hood Trail improvements, which could potentially include an all-person trail, giving people with different abilities the opportunity to actually access natural trail space in a way that makes it easy for them to enjoy the same kinds of forested areas that people of other abilities can. And then hopefully expanding beyond that high-traffic pond loop, and then also Beach Hill. We are going to be looking at enhancement of the trail network up there.
Questions?
Okay. The next one is a new program. It's the Parks and Recreation Equipment Program, and there is going to be a slight modification to this one. So in FY27, we are still looking to get the robotic line painter, and there are a lot of reasons why. When we're exploring robotics to streamline operations and improve staff efficiency, I can tell you a little bit about what happens right now. We have one painting machine. It's a 3-wheeled machine, and it typically takes about 3 staff 10 hours at $28 an hour per person to do the initial field lining of an athletic space. So if it's a rugby field that we're painting, it takes 3 staff members about 10 hours to set that. We get our plots, our initial point from engineering, and then we have to measure, we have to line, we have to tape, we have to pull the string, we have to do all of these things. And then no matter how wonderful you are at that process, the lines aren't ever perfect. A robotic line painter completes the same work in 45 minutes, and it gives you that opportunity to scale the field space needs based on the field space that you have. So we could be able to put 3 youth soccer fields out at Russell Park, and it would take 45 minutes to do that entire setup, entire field space. And it's a really wonderful efficiency upgrade. During that time, staff time can be redirected to other maintenance needs. So this is a machine that could also be used for ball fields. So while it's painting foul lines on all of our ball fields in specific park spaces, our staff would be able to chalk the batter's boxes, they'd be able to do some fence line trimming, and be able to do some facility upkeep and things like restroom cleaning, just to make sure that we're as efficient as possible. Mm-hmm.
This is, without a question, a no-brainer. We call it the GPS system in the school district.
Mm-hmm.
once they put it in, bingo, press the button, it's saving
Yes.
all kinds of man-hours. You just decide what type of field you want, when and where, and it does it so quickly. And like you said, the lines and everything
so
are a heck of a
crisp.
lot better than man can do it.
We actually had a company come out and demo for our crew last summer, and they were just in awe of how quickly and how straight the lines were.
Terrific. So I was going to ask, do we get our, I mean, that sounds fantastically fantastic. Do we get our money back if it doesn't work? But are you saying that this is already being done at Keene High School? So
Yes.
we have
We
seen
do all our,
this?
we do all our fields that way.
So
Like she
we have a
said.
local example with the same company, using the same equipment, so we can feel confident that it's actually real.
Yes.
And not
It's
just-
also done at the college as well.
Terrific. How about that?
Yes, and it
So glad
actually
to hear.
uses less paint than our current paint
Happy to
machine.
hear that as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. In FY '28, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Curious. There was a time when we were sharing equipment with the school system. And if the school system has that, is it possible to be sharing that? And then we would be sharing the cost of maintenance of the equipment or something like that. I know that the school in the past has used our equipment. I don't know what the arrangement is or what the payout is, or, you know, if it's a rental fee or something, but how often is this done? Is it something that you have to do each year? You have to,
This is done repeatedly, so we are responsible for 12 ball fields and then, I want to say, 7 additional athletic field spaces. And in order to make sure that the lines are clear for safety and for field of play, we do the initial set of lines at the beginning of the season, and then the maintenance of the lines happens every other day. So I do appreciate that the school district already has one and the college already has one. And we have been able to, last year, we were splitting Carpenter Street Field, Russell Park, between rugby and lacrosse. So the tricky part about that is when you use somebody else's robot, their fields and their field dimensions are already loaded into that robot. So it takes additional time to load in the different field dimensions and the different scale. What we would be able to do is we'd be able to use that machine as we would offer our machine in a backup kind of situation, but it would be really important for us to have our own.
so another question is if it has to be programmed. We have different fields for different activities, which would require multiple programs.
Yes.
So I'm assuming, like, even if I hear you, and it makes sense for us to do it, but just to share what I was thinking was if we did use somebody else's or had some kind of bartering system going on, we'd be able to program, because they would have enough options to have multiple programs. So we'd be able to program at once. It's not like you'd have to redo it every time. Is that correct?
Potentially. It's usually, what we did with the college last year was a one-shot deal, so it did not save the program onto their machine because it wasn't their field space.
Thank you.
In FY '28, we are looking for a robotic pool cleaner. So we're trying to enhance the efficiency in everything that we are doing. And this is applying the same operational innovation used in the robotic field lining to aquatics maintenance. It automates the debris removal and vacuuming in our municipal pools, which are 165,000 gallons each. And right now, that currently takes staff up to 1 week at the opening, making sure that we get all the leaf debris, making sure that we get all the frogs out. So we want to make sure that we can automate that process as much as we possibly can. It reduces the manual labor and improves the cleaning consistency and efficiency during our seasonal openings and routine maintenance. And it also frees up our staff to prioritize the safety oversight, facility readiness, and guest experience at our pools.
It's not in the current proposal? That's what you're examining? Okay,
Yep.
Same shape.
yep,
Okay.
all right,
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yep.
all right. Next item.
Next item. Okay. I promise, only a handful more. All right, the next one is the Park for Sustainability Project, and we talked about this too. FY '27 is $135,000 for the Dinsmore harvest. FY '28 is $125,000 for the Wheelock Park harvest. That includes design work for Wheelock Park, and we will be integrating community feedback and community engagement throughout that process because the Wheelock Park space definitely offers up more opportunity for different ideas and different community feedback to really feed what Wheelock Park will look like in the future. Right now, we have 9.4 acres in Dinsmore Woods and 16.5 acres in Wheelock and Ladies Wildwood, and it would be completely cost prohibitive to wait for tree failure to remove them. They have $0 in harvest value if they are dead, and right now, the going rate to take down each tree is $50 for each inch of thickness. So if you can imagine, $50 for each inch of thickness over 9.4 acres or 16.5 acres, we're talking about really, really wild numbers. The timing is critical due to that invasive pest that is killing our red pine. And I know I've talked about this lots of times, so I don't want to belabor the point. But harvesting while the trees still retain that market value allows the city to offset the costs and complete the necessary forest management. We did send this out for proposals. We have received 3 proposals. We're currently reviewing those, and the project totals represent the best estimates given the unique scope. A clear-cut harvest, understory management, which means we're going to be looking at invasive controls and the weeding out of all of the less desirable tree species, and then reserves for potential ground restoration following the harvest. We don't know what is going to happen to the ground space when we harvest the trees at Dinsmore because it's going to happen over the April vacation period, and it's a little bit muddy. The idea is that the Wheelock harvest will happen in the winter during the February vacation period, February school vacation period, so that the ground will be a whole lot more frozen.
Questions?
Yes. So we're talking about potentially being able to sell this wood, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
When that wood is sold, do we have the ability to bring that same money back to this space to look at the restoration and rehabilitation and reintroduction of a variety of native species in there? Can we assign that money back to this space?
So what we put forward as the request for proposal is that the contracted company would be able to keep all of that harvest value. That way we can.
So it reduces
So
their cost.
it reduces our cost.
It reduces their price to us.
Correct.
Anticipated, okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, all right, thank you.
Next.
Can I just add?
Yes.
Can I just add a point to this one as well, if I may? So if you recall, I believe it was last fiscal year, Public Works made a request for a resolution for tree removal, and that was due to a storm event. I think the ultimate cost of that ended up being $50,000 for just a small fraction of the Dinsmore Woods based on the storm damaged trees down. So as the director said, the proactive approach of removing the trees now, whether harvestable, is to a great benefit to the city to minimize those potential emergency costs, if you will. Yeah.
Three more. The next one is the Robin Hood Park renovation project, and this has been a project that's been on the radar for many, many years, and it's finally here. So we're really excited about this. We do have a commitment of the Land Water Conservation Fund in the amount of $500,000 for a grant, and we also completed our application for earmark funding on Friday, March 6th. Again, we're very thankful for this group being able to advance us the plan funding so that we can be construction ready for phase 1, which is the pool rehabilitation at the end of this pool season. We recently received requests for qualifications, and those are in the evaluation stage right now. And this project overall addresses the aging infrastructure and improves essential accessibility, safety, and system efficiencies. Community engagement and the concept planning will guide a well-planned comprehensive park renovation in phase 2.
Questions?
So in the bigger picture, $500,000 grant, right? It's not shown, and maybe as I go along, I'll get better at understanding this. The $500,000 is mine, so this amount is minus the $500,000 grant? Or is it shown in here in a way? Oh, right there, sorry, okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Is that it? All right. The Trail Bridge Maintenance Program, this is earmarked for FY '27 in the amount of $130,000 for the Ashwheeler Rail Trail Trestle Bridge rehabilitation. The safety enhancements that we have implemented so far are simply temporary measures ahead of a full bridge rehabilitation. And improvements will support a high-traffic trail system used by city residents, the college, and visitors on foot and by bike. And we need to make sure that it is accessible to all ages and ability and continues to stay safe.
Questions on that one? Come right up.
Sorry, my foot fell asleep. Laura Ruddle Miller. I just want to note, and I'm sure everybody who uses this bridge is very aware, if you're running fast enough, you can kind of like catapult yourself across the bridge when you hit certain pieces of it. It's very
okay.
springy and trampoline-y right now. No, but it's a bridge that I know myself and a lot of my running friends use all summer, and it would be great to see it in better shape because that is a very beautiful trail system out there, and being able to use the bridge to cross the highway is amazing. So this will be really good for the community and all the people that use it. That is all.
Thank you. We've also secured recreational trail program grant funding for this project as well.
I'll just add a couple of quick items on this one. I don't want to belabor the point, but engineering has already started looking this and has details prepared, ready for construction rehabilitation of this bridge. So when the funding is secured and finalized and those agreements are signed, we'll be in a position to put that out to bid. This is also a case where the city's match could be in kind, so we'll be tracking engineering efforts to ensure that the actual dollar value that the city is expending is minimized by using engineering in-kind costs, just for point of reference. Our next project, and the last one for tonight, is a Transportation Heritage Trail and an extension of the Phase 1. So Phase 1 is under contract for construction, be going out to construction basically any day now. We have a contractor and our engineer ready to go. This funding is for Phase 2. As part of DOT's August 14th, 2025 master plan, the city was identified in this transportation alternatives program, was assigned a project number with DOT, and funding has been allocated for that program. It's ranked as one of the highest transportation alternative programs in the state. We're very excited about this. And what we've updated in this is an ongoing program, so this was reflected in the previous CIP. The updates that we're making reflect the DOT's published program cost and years. So essentially, we moved what we had planned for fiscal year 28 for construction is now fiscal year 31 to align with the DOT funding that we were receiving. And truthfully, to start preliminary design in fiscal year 27, that's realistic that we would be ready for construction in that time. So DOT spread out the funding a little bit for preliminary design, right-of-way acquisition, which we don't need much for this project, and final design, and then construction in fiscal year 31. This is 80/20 funded by the federal government through DOT, so great project, great opportunity. It will be the crown jewel of transportation alternative projects, not only in Keene, but the area in general. So very excited.
Very nice. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
I would just have to say that, with all the expenses and our unpredictable political climate, it's easy to sideline or overlook the value of what we offer for recreation in terms of trails and bridges and everything else. And on my street alone, there's so many people that have relocated here, and they all have individually talked to me about our trails and our parks and our hiking areas. And we can't overlook the value of this and what makes Keene a special, attractive place. So I'm just mentioning it because there's a lot of nervousness in the community about our taxes and about all of the challenges we are going to be facing. And I strongly support ongoing improvement and maintenance and developing of our recreation department. And I just wanted to mention that there are a lot of people in this community that do. And as counselors, when these conversations come up, and then on another day they talk about taxes and the burdens of it, we sort of need to remind them, like, do that crossover. Anyways, I just wanted to mention it because I think sometimes it's easy to lose perspective. So,
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to add to that, you know, we can sit here and look at this package. As a former planner and a landscape architect, I'd like to say a thank you to all of our staff. When you're talking about coming up with a project, just the project itself, the amount of information and planning and detailed analysis that has to happen, and then you add the notion of these grants, state, federal, private, and the coordination of all of those details. I wish the public had the opportunity to understand how mind-boggling that is, to be tossing all of those balls in the air at once, coming up to be able to even say, whew, look at what we have put together. I just want to say thank you. We don't have all the staff here, and so it's coming down to park staff, but I don't know how we acknowledge the amount of intense work that has to happen in order to get to this point. But I'd like to say, I understand, and I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will be back here. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
This is great. You may conclude by 7:30, and that's good performance again by everybody. I want to compliment the questions that have come up at the end, the need for acknowledgement of the effort that's gone in, and Councilor Chadbourne, your comments about the tension that there is in this budget, that indeed we can come up with great ideas, and it may go over not so well with the impact that this could have on the overall costs of the city. So here we are, and that's what a budget process is about, and it's going to take us months to get through that, as the manager was describing. Again, there's many good projects that were just presented to us. I'm impressed, and I recall a question that came up 2 years ago, and it was, can we gather all of the federal and grant monies that are a part of this package? If we do that, which I think is really valuable to the public to see, I mean, so much of our high profile has been the grants that we didn't get. And what we are getting, is evidenced in this packet, is significant. And I give, again, the amount of effort that goes into this is largely shaped by the kind of projects that we can seek dollars to save taxpayer money. So that's great. If we can do it for if we can do it overall for the 6-year plan, we ought to be able to do it for the 2-year plan, and that would be great. Lastly, Dinsmore Woods, I just got to ask a question. I gather that this is the woody area along Maple Avenue.
Yes, that is correct.
It unfortunately doesn't have a marker there that says Dinsmore Woods. You know, so it's not like Robin Hood Park or Wheelock Park or, and so I guess just a suggestion, because I totally recall what the city engineer was talking about with the $50,000, and it made a huge difference, but it's amazing how much wood is, and that dead material is down on the ground, and how much more needs to be thinned out. And so this allocation is $125,000. If we got that far with 50, I think 125 is going to make a real improvement along that area. I think marking it as Maple Avenue will give people a much better geographic orientation as to where it is.
And just following up to the mayor's point, on the handout that was provided at the council workshop, there was a funding source identified for each project. In the first year of the CIP, we identified $8.9 million in grant funding. In the second year, it's $2 million. And then in the third year, again, it's 8.9. It really is driven by the size of the projects and when these projects are coming online.
Some newspaper articles
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
That would be really terrific.
Do you have something?
No, I could just have an inch.
Okay. Good to know. All right, so we'll be back here Thursday evening, 5:30. And I understand it's a good dinner. Chili. And I think there's plenty of food left in the back there, but thank you all, appreciate it.
That's all.
We're adjourned.
Chili and cornbread, just everybody fond of.
Yeah. Well, this was good tonight.
I know.